Hi, my name is Andy Gallimore, and I'm going to go over the SalesWon capability for opportunity management. Now, picking up where we left off from the lead generation standpoint, we create the lead transitions us into converting that lead into an opportunity. Once we create the opportunity, that then opens up a new view for us with a lot of different information. So we have the ability out of the box to convert all of that information that came over from the lead. So we're not pre-filling or we're not duplicating entry. But now we have the concept of our territories where that lead resides. So we can pick those. You can define whatever territories you have. You've got your sales teams that you can put in here. We can auto pre-fill these based on geography and things of that nature as well as part of your implementation. But out of the box, we don't do any of that because we don't know exactly what territories and divisions that you've set up within your company. So we do that at implementation. You'll notice the red asterisks. Those are the ones that are required. The gray asterisks are already pre-filled with the information that came over from the lead and or are a default for that. As we go down the list here, you can define what types of services and or products or things that you sell. For flexibility, we put in refrigerators because everybody sells something different. Maybe you're in wealth management and you're actually putting money into brokerage accounts or something of that nature, or you're in healthcare and you're selling medical devices. Various components. All of these are modifiable to your environment. As we come down here, if there was a campaign that was associated to that, we can tie it into the campaign. If that was part of the lead process, it would flow directly through. Down here, we see the first entry point to our CPQ, which actually is the price list. And right now it's defaulted to our standard price list. But you can have as many price lists as you want, and we'll cover that when we go through the CPQ video. Our next steps, action items, things like that you want to do, you can set that in. That's really there for a quick glance view as to what's that last place that we left off and what's the next thing that we need to do for this. Now, going up to the top right here, there's a couple different fields. You'll notice that the close date and the close-in quarter are not tied together. That is out of the box that way because we don't know every one of our customers' fiscal periods or accounting periods. So at implementation, we would typically gray out the close-in quarter and default it so that whenever you select when that's going to be, it would pre-fill to whatever your calendar or fiscal quarter would be, so that we make sure that that's aligned. Last activity date transitions over from the lead. There were activities that were done. If you are creating a new opportunity, maybe you don't use our lead generation process, then that would start off as blank because there is no previous activity that came over from the lead process. Now, getting into the stage and the statuses here. The stage, the key things here are these are all modifiable to your process as well. So if you don't use pipeline upside, strong upside, commit, so on and so forth, we can change the terminology as well. However, these are tied to the probability. So you'll notice we're in pipeline right now at 5%. Our prospecting, if we go to pipeline, we actually move up to 30%. Commit, strong upside, again, moves up the chain. The assumption here is the closer we get to a commit or a closed one, our probability will go up. Now, that's an out-of-the-box association. We do have clients that we use other logic-based rules to help set the probability to drive forecasting and so on and so forth. But out of the box, we have basically the sales stage associated to the probability. Now, under here, we do have what we're referencing as more of a practice status. This is more of an internal status. So we know where something sits in the pipeline, whether it's in strong upside, but we may not know the activities that are underlying that might be driving that. So we've added this status that would allow you to see, okay, well, are we at initial meetings or are we at initial pricing? Have we done a proposal? Are we revising the SAL? So this really gets us a secondary visibility to our leadership and teams that will help drive it. We can also tie this to requirements so that somebody can't put something into a commit status that hasn't seen a statement of work. because we want to make sure that the legal T's and C's aren't a challenge to that status. So we do have the ability to tie those together as well. You'll notice here with the customer generated, we do have the ability. We have customer portal widgets that would be allowed to go into your ServiceNow environment portal if you're using CSM or something of that nature, or we can devise a sales portal that would allow for a customer to actually generate quotes or opportunities directly, not having to go through, if you want to have them quote unquote self-service from your website. They do have that ability, and it would be indicated here if that was the way they were generating that activity. Down below, we've got our quote information and cost information. These are all grayed out because the assumption is that you'd be using our CPQ. If you weren't using our CPQ, we would enable these fields to be able to be manually entered. All right, so going down to the bottom here, just to kind of go through the forms, we do have our forecasting out of the box. We don't tie forecasting into these values just because there are different philosophies around forecasting, but we can help with the forecasting as part of implementation if you just want to do a direct cutover from the quotes that are there, or if there's some various percentage that we think based on your history that maybe you over or undershoot from a pricing perspective, and you think you're going to get 70% of that, we can help with the math equations to drive forecasting so that you can get better at predicting what could close in that quarter, in that month, in that year. Our notes, we've got general work notes and any history. You'll see the history of everything moving through here when this was created and changes that are being made as part of a general ServiceNow capability. Now down below, you'll notice that our activity, if you watched our lead generation, the activity did transfer over from the phone call that we had generated for the initial attempt. Now, this is the first time that we're initiating what we reference as a sales task. From a sales task perspective, the activities are meant to be used for more of the seller activity. So the phone call, the follow-up, the activities that are more customer facing. Now, sales tasks, these are more intended for those back office or fulfillment type functions. So this might be maybe you've got an internal team that's building proposals or things of that nature. You can build those out, or it could be as simple as we want to run a credit check. This is a new customer, and we need to run a credit check to see if they're credit worthy for us to extend our services to them to make sure that we get paid on those activities. So these are those type of activities that we would assume need to be happening in the back end. So I'm going to hit save here just so that I can go through. Oh, and we've got a notice here. So we're at the initial meetings. I'm going to hit save. And from a sales task perspective, I can just go in very quickly, hit new. You can notice that the various sales stages or status stages, work in process, open. I'm going to leave it as open. I can put in my short description. So I'm going to say credit check, and very similar to my disclosure of the activities in the campaign management and lead management is these can be templatized. So if you have a standard process for your back office or a standard process for your practice teams or whomever's building proposals that they have to go through, we can leverage the workflow capability within ServiceNow and generate those in a standard form so that they're templatized out of the gate. I can also now assign this work out to people, and we can run parallel path. We can run sequential workflow capability, but I can assign these to the groups that we need to as well. So I'm going to go ahead and leave the sales tasks and move over into, now you'll notice my contact that was generated from the lead came over with that. All the data came over, and then quotes, orders, and agreements are all empty at this point. So I am going to go ahead and click save and move into just making sure that I've got all my data updated. And the major function within the opportunity management is to have that visibility at the opportunity level of all the data that's necessary to move that forward. We try to stay simplistic. We can move fields out of here upon implementation and make it a little cleaner where there's not so many kind of blank fields that are driving the sales process. But now we've got the ability to move these through the sales cycle and get those all the way to a successful closed one with the data associated. So that's opportunity management within SalesOne.